Hi, everybody. Thomas Miller and Kristen Lawhead here, and we are going to tell you something that I stumbled across last week, narrating The Book of the Moon by Steve Forrest. Kristen, I think of all the things that I've seen in astrology, and you have too, that are just jaw droppers. This is the ultimate jaw dropper.
Absolutely. This is such a wonderful technique that is open to anybody on any skill level. It's the perfect thing to teach.
This is something that you can use astrology every day, literally every day. And we're going to show it to you right now. The reason we're doing this is that Kristen publishes a regular monthly lunar calendar. It starts every month with the new moon. We did have it for download. Now we're going to make a special page. It's going to be funastrology.com/moon. And you can call it up and it will be right there on the screen. So you can always reference it. Now, why in the world would you want to? Well, you all know about the void of course moon, right? We talk about it on the podcast a lot. It's a term that gets thrown around a lot, but we really don't understand the full nuance of basically what it is, and also how it can be used. So what it is, I'm going to explain this real quick, and then Kristen's going to pick up with some slides that she put together to show you everything about this technique. So the moon enters a new sign every about, by average, 2.25 days. And it goes through that sign and it aspects planets while it's in there. And we're going to show you some examples of that here in just a second. And then remember, short, right? 2.5 days. And then it makes its last aspect. And then there's a gap of time between that last aspect and when it enters the next sign. That gap is called the void of course. And the idea is that the moon doesn't have any other support from the planets during that little pause. And then when it picks up in the next sign, then it goes on, rinses and repeats. So there's something we can do with that to use that in our daily lives when we do things, when we buy things, etc. But let's show you the aspects first, because that really ties it all together.
Yes. So, as Thomas said too, these are Ptolemaic aspects that we're using. So that would be trine, opposition, sextile, and square are the main ones. The minor aspects are not used in this technique. So we're looking at the last aspects the moon made as it went through Virgo, and the chart is the chart for the closing aspect where we have the moon sextile to Mercury. As you can see, Mercury is the tiny purple icon at the bottom next to Mars, which is red, and the moon is next to Venus in Virgo, and the connection between the water and earth make a sextile, leaving the closing aspect as a positive aspect between the two. So as you could see, as the moon was in Virgo, it made a lot of aspects to the other planets. But the positive aspect at the end is the one that we're focusing on, because that leaves the void of course in a positive light. So now we're going to move to the Libra moon aspects. Now, as you can see, when the moon is in Libra, it only makes 2 Ptolemaic aspects to other planets. So not nearly as many as when it was in Virgo. However, the closing aspect for this lunar sign shift is a square. So it is considered to be more challenging. So with this, you can really kind of pick and choose how you want to spend the void of course. If you want to do things that are in a positive ending, or maybe letting go of something, you can use a more challenging aspect as well. Here is a picture of the moon calendar, and the moon calendar has all of the closing aspects on it, and you can reference this anytime you're trying to figure out what the closing aspect is for that void of course.
And we will be talking on the Fun Astrology podcast a lot about how to implement this, and we'll be following all of the moon sign changes and voids, of course, and last aspects and all of that on the Fun Astrology podcast on YouTube and on your favorite podcast app.